Hi there. Today we are looking at the Blumat 4x4 mid-range raised bed kit. This is one of our most popular kits. It goes into commercial and home grows all over the world. We're going to look at the parts, we're going to look at the installation, and we're going to see it functioning. Here we have the component pieces of the mid-range 4x4 kit. We have 16 feet of the BluSoak soaker hose. We have two of the 3mm to 5/8 inch reducing couplers. We have the BluSoak hold down stakes. We have the distribution stakes. We have the two distribution drippers. We have a 5-inch carrot and a 9-inch carrot. First, we're going to take a look at the supply line that we put in. This is parts that are not included in the 4x4 mid-range bed kit. We're assuming that you already have this. Now, there's a few ways to provide water supply to your Blumat system. You can do that through a pump kit that's pulling out of a reservoir and using a pressure accumulator tank. We'll talk about that in a different video. We can also use a gravity system. We have different ways to do that with gravity reservoirs. But today we're just going to be using water that's coming directly from a hose bib, essentially. We have water lines built into our Blumat test garden here. This is just a 3/4 inch male hose thread, like you'd find on a regular hose bib. And this is one of our Blumat Pressure Reducers. This is a 15 psi pressure reducer. So the water is currently on here. We have water flowing through, reduces down to 8mm. I have another shutoff valve in line here. And then we have this water line coming down to the bed, into our 4x4 bed, where it comes into a T. And this T makes a loop around the bed, with the valve here. And then we have a purge valve right here. Now this is in order to bleed out excess air from the system, or if we ever need to flush the system for any reason, we can do that with this purge valve. Now this setup isn't entirely necessary for a 4x4 bed, but it's a very nice way to set it up. It's a little bit more on the deluxe side, but again, your performance and ease of setup improves when you have this. Now, we're going to start by laying out the soaker hose. So the soaker hose is going to come in a roll. It's going to be a little squirrely when you open it up. It becomes a lot more easy to manage when you start running water through it. Now the first step here is to take your reducers here, your 5/8 inch reducing couplers here. Now the way these work is, if you look at the soaker hose, there's a black channel on the inside. That needs to go on the inside of the barb, and then that slides over the barb, and then this collar tightens up. Now it's going to create a nice tight seal. So we're going to do that on both ends. Again, that black channel goes inside the barb, the white slips over the barb, and then this collar screws down. Okay, so we have now put the fittings on the end of the soaker hose and put the soaker hose in place. I've laid it in place using the BluSoak stakes that come with the kit, just to kind of help hold it down. Once we run a little water through it, it's going to become much more easy to manage. So let's go ahead and install some carats. We've got 2 carats with this set. We have the 5-inch and the 9-inch. We're going to put the 5-inch towards the outside of the bed and the 9-inch towards the inside of the bed. We've gone ahead and pre-conditioned these. So that's another process, is conditioning the carats that I'm sure most of you are familiar with at this point. And so what we'll do is I'm going to place the carrot right where I want it in the bed. This is the 9-inch carrot. Now, beauty of the Blumat system is this whole system can be built using a pair of scissors. So I'm going to take the supply line here, and I'm going to cut it, insert the T, and I'm going to put a distribution dripper in as well. These distribution drippers and these stakes just clip in like this. So you have a little stand for the stake. And that's going to go right here in between the soaker hose and the carrot. I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra tubing here. And that's how that's going to be installed like that. I'm going to take it off in a minute so that we can go ahead and dial in the carrot. But for now, that's the layout that we're going to see. Now we're going to do the same thing over here with this 5-inch carrot. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the 5-inch carrot out of our bucket. The bucket's a great way to store conditioned carrots. We're going to put this one in place right here. We're going to do the same process. Cut the hose. And then we're going to add the distribution dripper. We put these distribution drippers in as a way to help regulate flow, to regulate the carrot. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on the water to this bed, knowing that that valve in the corner, that purge valve, is open. And that's going to purge out any air in the system. Wait till that runs clear and solid. I'm going to shut it down. And I'm going to open up the valves on these carrots to let a full high flow rate happen. And what we're going to see is the water starting to fill up this soaker hose here. Now this process usually takes a few minutes. Okay, I've just given this a few minutes at a full blast. You can see the soaker hose is actually starting to give off some water here. This is how it's going to function when it's watering. Because the soaker hose is full, I'm going to go ahead and dial these back. So we don't need to fill it up anymore. And we can see that now that the soaker hose is full, it's actually much easier to manipulate. So I'm going to lay this hose out in a little bit better fashion. I like to make it a little bit more square. I like to keep it about 6 inches from the edge of the bed. And then if we can, we try to keep about 12 inches between rows of soaker hose. So as you can see, you can actually almost make right angles with this now that the water is in there. So there we have a very nice even layering of the soaker hose. And now we can start the process of dialing in the carrots. Now that we have the soaker hose in place, and all the rest of the components are in place as well, we're going to set the carrots to maintain the current moisture level of the soil. We went ahead before we started this and hand watered the bed. We brought the moisture content up to the level that we wanted. We let that sit for a few hours to evenly distribute the water throughout the bed. And we've been monitoring that with our soil moisture meter. Now I'm going to check our digital moisture meter. And that's reading right at 100. That's a great spot for a living soil bed. Between 80 and say 120 millibars is right where we want to keep it. Now, we're going to dial in the carrots. The way to do that is to disconnect it, open up the carrot until we get a good flow, and then I'll let that purge out a little bit. Sometimes the pressure will fluctuate a bit. And then we're going to dial back. Dialing that back until we start to get some dripping. And then we're going to get it to a point of a hanging drip right there. Now that we have that, I'm going to go back two triangles. 1, 2. I'm going to go ahead and reconnect this. And that carrot is what we call dialed in. It's going to maintain this current moisture content in perpetuity. I'll go over here, repeat the process. And dial it back. Got the hanging drip. I'll go back another 2 triangles and reconnect it. And now our system is set up. We're going to watch it for a few days to make sure the moisture content stays where we want it. If we need to make adjustments, we'll go ahead and make an adjustment by just at most a quarter of a triangle. So just a couple little tick marks, dry or wet, and then let it sit for 24 hours. But at this point, we are ready to plant.